The candidates for Texas governor meet face-to-face on the debate stage.
It's on all of us to make sure that we have change at the ballot box this November 8th.
From immigration to abortion to guns, Greg Abbott and Beto O'Rourke take on the issues important to Texans.
And number one in so many categories. I'm running for re-election to keep Texas number one.
But did the debate move the needle for Texans on the fence? We dig deeper with a panel of undecided voters. Plus, our panel of political experts weighs in on the messages from the candidates and how effective they could be on Election Day.
Produced from the Capitol in Austin and airing statewide, this is the award-winning State of Texas.
Hello, and thank you for joining us for this special edition of State of Texas. I'm Josh Hinkle, and I'm joining you from outside the Texas Governor's Mansion. In just over 5 weeks from today, Texas voters will decide whether Republican Governor Greg Abbott will continue living here or whether Beto O'Rourke will become the first Democrat in nearly 3 decades to call this place home. There's a lot for voters to consider in the coming days, especially following Friday night's gubernatorial debate hosted by this station's owner, Nexstar Media Group, from the Rio Grande Valley in Edinburgh. Throughout this program, we'll show you highlights from the debate and analysis that followed from our team across the state. The debate could be a key moment in deciding the race. Right now, polling shows it's not that close. Our poll by Emerson College and The Hill shows O'Rourke trailing Governor Abbott by 8 points. The numbers show 50% of Texas voters backing Abbott, putting O'Rourke in the position of needing to sway undecided and independent voters to his side. But did the debate move the needle for either candidate? We have a unique way to find out if a candidate's messages made a difference. Our Jackie Kingston watched the debate in Dallas with a panel of undecided voters and joins us with details about their responses.
Welcome to Dallas and one of the most exclusive watch parties across the state of Texas tonight. We're joined by a diverse group of voters, many of which are undecided on these topics and on these two candidates, or they were prior to about an hour ago. We gathered this focus group together of Democrats, of Republicans, of independents, all from varied and diverse backgrounds to tell us more about how they feel about what they heard during this debate. We were able to get those by the minute and by the moment updates from these undecided and some decided voters here in studio, thanks to the work of our data experts who are standing by just across the studio from me now. Dan and Dave, thanks so much for being here. Thanks for your work tonight. Let's talk first about the technology that we used with this group of voters. Everything go to plan?
Yes, we had everything that was operating the way it's supposed to, so we're happy with the results.
It seems like the dials that these voters were able to use, these here about the size of a cell phone, they're pretty intuitive. What was the metric that they were using to rate the responses from the candidates?
So before we actually began our survey, we did instruct them on how to use the dials. So if they liked what it is that they were seeing, if they felt favorable towards it, we would instruct them to dial up, turn the dial anywhere between 51 to 100. If they were neutral about it, we would kept it at 50, and then if they felt negative or unfavorable, then go down to 49 all the way down to 0. The farther you go to the right or to the left, the more strongly you feel about that. So the results it is that you're watching was the average of all the independents, all the Democrats, all the Republicans.
We did have a couple of moments in this debate where these voters were very decided, very passionate, one way or the other, and all over the place. And we were able to watch that in real time because of that data. So we'll get their response, talk to them one-on-one, and see what they have to say about what they were able to watch tonight. But for now, we'll send it back to you in Austin.
Thanks, Jackie. We are here at the Governor's Mansion with two political insiders to dig deeper into what the candidates said during the debate. John Whitman is the founder of Whitman Public Affairs here in Austin and has worked in Texas politics for nearly a decade, including as Governor Greg Abbott's former communications director. He also managed the communications team on Abbott's successful 2018 re-election campaign. Katie Naranjo has served as the chair of the Travis County Democratic Party since 2020. She has extensive campaign experience as a consultant, recruiter, and fundraising organizer for Democratic candidates. She is also a healthcare advocate and CEO of a small business here in Austin. Welcome to both of you.
Thanks, Josh.
I want to ask you to start off, what were your general impressions of the debate? How did you think it went tonight, John?
Yeah, Josh, I think that overall it was actually a pretty non-dramatic debate, which I think is a really good thing for Greg Abbott. I think the Abbott campaign has to be feeling really good tonight and feeling like they came out on top with a win. In a debate like this, typically the challenger who is down really needs to have that breakout moment. I didn't see that tonight from Beto O'Rourke, and so Greg Abbott has to feel really good tonight.
Katie?
While I agree there wasn't a breakout moment in the debate, I think the reality is accountability has been established. The lack of accountability the governor has put when it comes to in his immigration policies, his stunts, in fact, when it comes to gun control. And so if you, as a female voter, a mom sitting there listening myself, think holding people accountable, that is a breakaway moment, then it gives voters the power to hold the governor accountable.
You mentioned immigration. Obviously, this debate was in South Texas, so immigration and the border were big topics in the debate. Let's take a listen to what the candidates had to say about that.
Texas has responded by making sure that we have the National Guard and DPS deployed where they're making arrests and turning back illegal immigrants, as well as what we're doing to help local communities by busing them from the area where Border Patrol is dropping them off to sanctuary cities in northeastern parts of the country. But what we're doing is making sure that we are keeping our community safe, and this is completely different than the way things would be under Beto, because he said months ago, there is no problem on the border.
We are 8 years into his time as governor, and this is what we have on our border. In fact, $4 billion into Operation Lone Star, we're seeing not fewer, but more encounters at our border right now. What we need is a safe, legal, orderly path for anyone who wants to come here to work, to join family, or to seek asylum.
So there you heard the candidates talking about the border and the strategy that the current administration has had. Beto O'Rourke also talked about the fact that Democrats believe that the busing strategy is a stunt. Can you respond to that?
So Texans, taxpayer dollars, are spending billions and millions of dollars, not just in the transportation, but in Operation Lone Star, which has yielded no results. We've taken money from healthcare, education, etc., instead of looking for real solutions. This is not a Texas problem. It's an international problem. It's a humanitarian crisis. And if Governor Abbott wanted to lead on issues like immigration, he would focus on bringing infrastructure down to the Border Patrol agents who need it, as well as to the communities who are seeking to provide people access to jobs and humanitarian funding, instead of busing them to Chicago and Washington, D.C. for political ploy.
What are your thoughts on that strategy?
Well, I have to disagree with that, Josh. Let's be honest. Operation Lone Star has resulted in nearly 20,000 criminal illegal alien arrests. It has resulted in 350 million lethal doses of fentanyl coming off the streets. So the reality is that Operation Lone Star is working. And it sounds to me like Beto O'Rourke just wants to simply open the borders and let everyone in. It sounds like he wants to take all those existing resources that are securing our border and take them away and subscribe to the Joe Biden policies of a completely open border.
2 years versus 8. In 2 years, President Biden has been the president for 2 years, whereas Abbott has been for 8. We have now 2 million interactions of folks coming across the border illegally. We have 116,000 people looking for refugee status or asylum. And so what's happened is that in 8 years, Governor Abbott has done nothing that actually yields real results. Putting people in jail is more taxpayer dollars spent versus looking for real solutions with our federal allies as well as with Mexico.
Brief response.
The bottom line is this. Texas has stepped up where the federal government has failed. They continue to fail in their constitutional responsibility to actually secure our border. And Texas and Greg Abbott are stepping up and doing it.
We have a lot more to dig into, including what the candidates for governor are saying about guns after the mass shooting in Uvalde. First, the issue of abortion leads to an interesting exchange between the candidates. That's up next on this special edition of State of Texas.